Hello everyone, welcome back to the last video of this Python for data analysis series. As always, I've uploaded the code that I'll be using for this tutorial on the Google Drive. So people who haven't requested for access earlier can request for access in the link available in the description of the video below to get access. So here the file name is EDA on Titanic dataset, which is already available. Like if we are going to use binning, how we are going to do that, and if there is a missing value, how we are going to fill it, and if there are outliers, how they are, and how do we fill it, or how do we manage the outliers. So all this forms the process of exploratory data analysis, and to be successful at it, we need to be very comfortable with pandas, which is the data analysis library, and any of the visualization tool like matplotlib or seaborn. So if you haven't watched my video already on matplotlib or pandas, please go back. It's in the same it's available in the same playlist, so you can view that and come back to the exploratory data analysis part. So why is it very important? Like, we have so much of AutoML and other stuffs going on, right? So why is exploratory data analysis still important? I'll give you two examples. So the first one is, like a s- trend graph of the number of films Nicolas Cage acted between 1999 and 2009. So here the black line represents the number of films Nicolas Cage appeared from 1999 to 2009. In the same period, the red line represents the number of people who drowned falling into a pool. So if you see here, like both the lines correlate very much, right? So if I am automating the process of data analysis and seeing just correlation to make inferences about the data, then people or the system would assume that the number of films Nicolas Cage appears is very much correlated with number of people who are drowning in pool, which is not actually the case. So a lot of human intuition is needed for making a successful exploratory data analysis. And the second example I would like to tell you is like during World War II, there are a lot of fights between different countries, right? So in US, like they were trying to build more armor for the aircrafts. So like this was one of the image which was created from the returning aircrafts. So whichever aircrafts return to the air base, they plotted wherever those aircrafts were hit. So the red dots that you see are the places where most of the hit were taken by the aircrafts. So these were the places. And a lot of mathematicians and statisticians were involved to suggest to the military in which place they need to add more armor to the aircrafts. So you cannot add armors everywhere, right? It will become very heavy and they will not be able to carry what the aircraft is supposed to carry. So they wanted to have more armors placed, but they wanted to be done at strategic places so that there will be more safety to the aircrafts. So all the statisticians plotted wherever the red dots were, and they said like these are the places where armor needs to be placed. And there is one brilliant guy there. So he came up and contradicted everyone and said like wherever you guys have planned that should be stopped and we should put it elsewhere. Everybody were surprised like why is this guy suggesting such a way, and everybody knew that he was one of the finest statistician available at that time. So when he was asked to reason out, he said like whatever analysis they did were on the aircrafts that returned to the airbase, which indirectly means that these aircrafts were not hit on parts that were critical for its return to airbase, while the other aircrafts which did not return to the airbase were hit on critical parts which was fatal enough for them to be destroyed by the enemy aircrafts data. So with that, again, we are going to see an interesting data set today. So most of us know like about Titanic, right? So on its maiden journey, like Titanic was hit by the glacier and or a big iceberg, and then everybody, most of the people got sunk. Out of 2,224 people, 1,500 plus were killed, so which translate into 30% survival rate. So today we are going to get the details of the people who traveled in the Titanic ship and whether they survived or not. So with that we are going to analyze and see which people had better survival rate and which people didn't. So, like, I'm very sure, like, most of the people watching this video would have watched the Titanic movie as well. So, according to James Cameron, like, people who were traveling in a lower class or, passenger class three were closed into the lower decks of Titanic, right? And they were closed out and they were not allowed to come out of their decks. So, indirectly causing more people who travel in passenger class three to die. And James Cameron also showed us like the women and children were given preference and they were moved out, when the ship started sinking, right? So the survival rate of women and children should be very high according to the movie, right? So today now we have the data and we will see whether all these assumptions or whatever we saw in the movie is true or not by doing analysis, exploratory data analysis on that. And as we do the analysis, we will learn about univariate analysis and multivariate analysis. And univariate analysis means like we will take one field of interest, one feature of interest, and we'll do all the analysis on that. In multivariate, we will take two or more than two features and compare them. And when we compare, again, we have different categories like quantitative and qualitative, which I'll cover up shortly. And before running this command, please ensure that you upload the test datasets to the runtime environment. So the sample files for Titanic test train wine, they are available in the Google Drive. So next I load my data. So as I told you before, like univariate analysis means we analyze the data based on one feature at a time. So now I loaded the Titanic train dataset as train DF, right? So I'm seeing what are the different column names that is there in it. So you can see like these are the columns in the dataset. Passenger ID is the ID of the passenger. A survived column says whether that person survived or not. P class means the passenger class. Then I have the name of the person who traveled. Then I have sex, which has the gender of the person. Then I have age of the person. And SIB-SP means like the number of siblings who accompanied that person. And PR means like whether he was alone or he was with other people. The ticket was taken along with other people. Then you have the ticket ID. Then fare, how much was that particular ticket. Then you have cabin, which was allocated for that person. Then we have embarked, which is like where the person boarded the Titanic. Now, before actually going into the data, I thought do a quick refresh on what are the different kinds of variables that we encounter in data science. So, broadly, like we can divide the variable into numeric and categorical. So, numeric is like the numbers, like you have your age and all that becomes your numeric. And categorical is like category. So, you have like different types. Say, for example, you have a fruit name. So there are different types of fruit, right? Say you have apple, orange. So they are categorical without in basically not meaning number. And numeric again is divided into two classes, continuous and discrete. Continuous means like there will be a continuous number. Say you have age. Age can be anything, like usually starts from 0 and goes till 100 or 120 max, and it is continuous in nature. And discrete is like you have a discrete value like which is not continuous. Say you have take number of rooms. Say you are estimating the price of a hotel or price of a house. Then when the value number of rooms can either be 1, 2 or 3, right? You cannot have 2.5 or 3.2 like that. Either you can have one room or two room or three room, right? So it is like it takes discrete value. So that becomes your discrete. Then for categorical, we have two categories like ordinal, nominal. Say for example, you have gender as your category. So now your gender is like male or female, right? And male or female, it is not like one is good or one is bad. They don't have any order between them. So when you do not have a order between a categorical variable, it is called nominal. And if there is an order between that, say you have grades of student, now A grade is better than B grade, B grade is better than C grade. So there is a association with between different classes in a category, right? So that becomes your ordinal. So now let's get back to the Titanic data set and see what kind of data these Titanic data set falls into. So I'm running the command for head. So head gives top five records by default, right? So I get it. So when I see passenger ID, it is a ID column. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then survived. So survived here is a category field. I have 0 or 1. 0 means the person did not survive. 1 means the person survived. So it is a categorical column. Then I have P class, which is passenger class. And I have three classes, 1, 2, and 3. So again, it is a category. Then I have name. Then I have gender, whether male or female, again it's a category. Then I have age, which is a numerical feature. Then I have CBSP, the person, people accompanied with, or the number of siblings who came along with the person. So it is like a number again. Then I have PR, which is like how many people were accompanied on a particular ticket. So it's again numeric. Then I have ticket, which is a mixed data type. Here, if you see, it is alphanumeric. You have some text, then you have some number. So if you see here, it has only number. So it's a mixed data type. Then you have fare, which is again a numeric. Then you have cabin, which is alphanumeric. Then you have embarked, which is categorical. Now, from just five records, we do not know like how many number of classes or how many different unique values of embarked was there, right? So we'll slowly describe or get the info of the data set and see how it is. Now I move this one already discussed. So then I display the tail. So tail also gives the same information. Then I type info. So here from info we can get a lot of information. So here the first one. So age you see, right? The total value is 714. You see like the overall value was 891, but age has there for only 714. Meaning like there are 150 plus null values for age column. Similarly, cabin if you see is like 204, right? Meaning like there are a lot of null values in cabin. So we need to see like if cabin really adds value, and if it is not adding value, we can remove it off. And then what are the other values that we can get? So here and all you see integers, right? Then you see a float, then you see objects. So your name, sex, and all are like your categorical objects are like showing as object, and your number values, whichever was numeric, are showing as integer. So you have passenger ID, survivor ID, class, everything as numbers. So let's move on. Next, I'm going to describe my data frame. So when I describe again, this gives a lot of interesting information. So let's see how to break down this information. So first, our target column is survived, right? So we'll start from that. Here, your max value is 1, min value is 0. So meaning like 0 means the person did not survive and 1 is like the person survived. So the mean value is 0.38, meaning like the survival rate of the overall people is 38% in Titanic. So what other information we can get? Let's look into passenger ID. Now here the minimum value is 1, the maximum value is 891, and the total count was 891. So meaning like from 1 to 891, the value is like an ID column iterating from 1 to 891. So this is not going to give much information to our model. Then we move to passenger class. So in the passenger class, if you see first class, second class, and third class, you have three, and you see that minimum is one, so that's where it started. Then if you see 25 percentile, you get two, meaning like less than 25% of the people traveled in first class. But we do not know the exact number with just this table, but we know like we can get a picture. At least less than 25% people were in the first class. Then at 50 percentile, you see like passenger class is 3. So with this we can understand that at least 50% of the people who traveled in Titanic were into the third class. It can be more than 50% because we know like from 50% it is third class, but we do not know exactly where it started. But at least at the minimum we had 50%, more than 50% people traveling in passenger class 3. Now let's come to age. So in the age, if you see minimum is 0.42, meaning like there were even infants with less than a half a year old traveled in Titanic. And you see maximum is 80. Like the oldest person who traveled in Titanic is 80. And you see 75% is 38. That is too less, right? You had maximum of 80, but if you see 75% it's just 38. And 50th percentile or even 25 percentile, if you see it is 20, right? So most of the people who traveled, or at least from 25 to 75 we have 50% population, right? So at least 50% of the population who traveled in Titanic were aged between 20 and 38. So it was mostly the younger population who traveled in Titanic. Then we'll come to CBSP, which is like the number of siblings who traveled. So we see like maximum is 8. So there were one person who traveled with 8 people, um, and minimum is 0, meaning like they are alone. They did not have any siblings along with them. And here in the 50th percentile you see 0, meaning like at least 50% of the people who traveled alone. And at 75% you see 1. So at least from this 50 to 75 percentile, uh, there were most of the people who had either traveled alone or with just one sibling. Then Park, this is not having much of information, and most of the information about the company we got it through CBSP column, so we'll ignore this. Then moving on to fare, you see the minimum fare is 0. Like there are some people who travel for free. Then you have maximum as 512. But something interesting is like at 75 you have only 31, meaning like 75% of the people paid either 31 or less than 31 as fare. But there is some person who has paid even 512. So there is a huge difference between the amount paid by the elite people. So let's move on to the next step of analysis. So in the first describe, we saw only the numeric columns, right? Now we will see the categorical columns. So for categories, you can see like the name 891, all of them are unique. So not much of information. In sex, if you see like there are two, so male and female, and freak top is male and 577. So 577 out of 891 were male and the rest were female. Then ticket is again like an ID column. We are not going to get much information. Then we have cabin and embarked. So we have count as 889, unique as 3. So there are 3 places where people boarded in Titanic. So far we saw got information through the describe and information function available in pandas. Now we will move on to visualization. So for univariate visualization, we have histograms, density plot, box plot, violin plot. So these are all mostly used for numeric. And for categorical features, we have frequency plot and bar plot. So first one, histogram. Histogram is nothing but gives you the frequency of a variable. Say you have 1 to 100. So how the value is distributed between 1 to 100 can be found using the histograms. So now I run the histogram for age and fair. So from these plots, you can understand that, the first one is your age, second one is your fair. So, in the dark mode, some of the column names are not proper, so I change the mode to light. Okay, so I think it is better now. So for age, if you see, like there were few infants and few people who were more aged. Most of the people who traveled were between 20 and 40. So it matches the assumption that we made already. Then for fare, if you see, most of the people paid between $0 to $50. So most of the strength occurs in this part, right? And 50 to 100 is some people. Then you see there is few people who paid very much, like at 500 level and all they have paid. So these are like outliers in the graph. And again, these match our inferences that we made through the info statement. Then we have density plot. Density plot is pretty same as your histogram. Only thing is the curve is more smooth. So here I have plotted it for age. If you see the histogram, it is the same thing, right? So you have a peak here, then a skewed one. Similarly, here also you have a peak and then it's a skewed one. So it is the same as your histogram, but the curve is much more smooth. Then we have box plot. Box plot is most commonly used for identifying outliers. So we saw in the quartile ranges, right? 25, 50, and 75. So your box plot will map whatever distribution you have between the quartiles, and it will also show the interquartile range. And whichever value is falling 1.5 times more than the interquartile range will be considered outliers. So let's see the box plot in action. Now I'm plotting a box plot for age. So you can see that most of the people were between 20 and 40, right? And again, it matches with the intuition that we got from the described statement. And here, anything beyond 63 or 65 is outlier according to the box plot because they cross 1.5 times the interquartile range. So you have these people as outliers. Then we have the violin plot. Violin plot is again same as your box plot. Again, it is a little more smoother version of your box plot. Next, we have frequency table. So frequency table is nothing but your value counts. Again, we saw this during our pandas tutorial. So when I do for survived class, I see 549 people did not survive and 340 people, 42 people survived. So this is frequency table. Then the same information that you see in the frequency table can be plotted using a bar plot. So here again I do a count plot of survived and CIV-SP. So let's see the output. So if you see the frequency table, we saw 549 and 342, right? So that's the same thing that you see here, only the changes like there we saw as number, here we are visualizing it. So 0 is like 540, here you can see the range, and this is like somewhere 300. And for people traveling with siblings, you see people who traveled alone are somewhere about 600, and people who traveled with just one sibling is like somewhere around 200, and the other ones are like very small. So now let's move on to multivariate analysis. So in multivariate analysis, we use more than two features to do the comparison. And when we do it, there are different plots available for qualitative is qualitative, quantitative is categorical, categorical is categorical, like that. We have different things. So first we'll see quantitative and quantitative, which is like quantitative is another word for numeric. So we'll see comparison between two numeric values. So these are the plots that we are gonna see: scatter plot, join plot, scatter plot matrix, and correlation matrix. So first we'll see this scatter plot. So in Titanic dataset, if you see, like most of the columns are categorical. We do not have much of numerical columns there. So for the purpose of showing how numeric with numeric analysis works, I'm going to use the wine dataset. So in the wine dataset, if you see, these are the columns that are available, and this dataset is used for predicting the quality of wine. So quality is our target variable, and input features are type of wine, whether it is white wine or red wine, fixed acidity, volatile acidity, citric acid, residual. So these are all different measures of the wine. So based on this, we predict the quality in the wine dataset. Now I'm going to plot a scatter plot between my fixed acidity and density, and let's see how the graph is. So here, through the scatter plot, you see as the value of density increases, your fixed acidity increases, right? As you move across your x-axis, your y-axis also increases. So if you see the output here, there is a linear increase, right? So as the value increases in the x-axis, you see that in the y-axis also the value increases. So this is called positively correlated. When your value on x-axis increases and y value increases, it is called positive correlation. Means like these two variables increase together. We'll see another example where the metrics are negatively correlated. So I plot a scatter plot between fixed acidity and pH. So as you can see, there is a negative trend. As the value of your x-axis increases, your y value is decreasing. Right? You see a negative correlation here. Moving on. So here I plot the scatter plot between age and fare in Titanic dataset. As you can see, there is a flat line. So you don't see any correlation as between x and y axis. It is not neither increasing nor decreasing. You have a flat line. So this means that there is no correlation between these two variables. Moving on, next one is the joint plot. Joint plot is similar to the scatter plot. Only thing is like it plots the histogram of the variables along with the scatter plot. So here if you see, this is a scatter plot, and on the left and the top you see, like the histogram of the corresponding features. Similarly, I do it for fixed acidity and pH. So here I used kind as KDE, which is kernel density function. So in the top, if you see, it is scatter plot. So when I do a kernel density function, I get a graph like this. So the next one is pair plot. Pair plot, what it does is like you can give the entire data frame or a set of features, and pair plot will create a matrix with plot for every combination of the features. And pair plot takes a lot of time to plot when you have a large data set or huge number of features in your data set. So it is not advisable for bigger data sets. Since our case today is like a small file, I am doing a pair plot. As you can see, it takes much more time than the other plots because it has to build graph for each combination of the features available in the data set. So we got the result. Here you can see that every column in the data set has been tagged column wise as well as row wise. So here you can see, like this is between quality and fixed acidity. This is between quality and volatile acidity, and this is between citric acid and quality. Like that, for every combination you get a plot, and you can see which you can see like this is negatively correlated, and some of them like this is positively correlated, and there is no correlation here. Like that, you can do analysis for all features together. And the next one is correlation matrix, which plots the correlation between different features. And it is usually visualized through a heat map. So here you can see the dark colors represent negative correlation, the light colors represent positive correlation, and in between is like no correlation. So in this example, if you see, these colors are like positively correlated, and the deep colors that you see here and all are negatively correlated. Next, we'll see how we compare numeric with categorical features. So far, whatever we saw was like between numeric features, right? Now we'll see one qualitative and one categorical, meaning like one numeric and one category. So survived column was categorical, right? And so here you can see I am plotting age, which is a numeric variable or continuous variable. Then I have a category, survived equal to 0 or 1. So from this you can see like this age category 20 to 40, right? So this is where most of the people are. But in the survived column, if you see, it got flattened out, right? So meaning like most of the people who were from this 20 to 40 category did not survive. And here if you see, this curve is bottomed out here, but if you see here, it is high. Meaning like most of the infants or people with less age survived. So they had better survival rate. And there is this person who is like around 80, the outlier person we saw in the other graph, he has survived. And even for other people, if you see like if you see these levels and these levels, you can infer that people who were more aged, they got saved or survived. Let's move on to the next graph. So here I'm going to do a bar plot between sex, fair, and the place they embark. So here if you see like I am splitting the bars into gender. So if you see, the first bars represent female, second bars represent male. And the row wise, if you see, they represent different points of embarking, like where they boarded Titanic. And the first column full together represents people who did not survive, and this represents who survived. So if you see here, the fare of the people who did not survive is much lesser than the people who survived, right? So people who paid better or who paid more survived. So here also you can see like the people who paid, and this is people who did not pay, right? You can see the difference. Similarly, you can see that females graph is bigger than the male. So meaning like people females had better survival rate than males. So next we'll see how we compare a numerical feature to an ordinal feature. So for numerical feature, like I have taken the age again. For nominal feature, I have taken the passenger class. So we saw passenger classes like 1, 2, and 3. And since they have a relationship, right? Class 1 is more has more fare than class 2, which has more fare than class 3. So there is a ordinal relationship between them. So we see that it's a comparison of a numeric value to the ordinal value. So again, from this graph, we understand that the passenger class 2 people who didn't survive is this. If you see here, it is here. So age wise, again, if you see like this part of the people had the least survival rate, right? 20 to 40. And here if you see, the it's spread out at the other places. So people at this region had better survival rate, right? So here you see like there is no people in this zone, right? Similarly in this zone you see. So these people all survive. Here people mostly survive. And this was the place where people did not survive. Most people did not survive. Again, this is the place where they survived. Next, we are going to see how to compare a categorical variable with categorical variable. So now for that, I'm going to take example as embarked, P class, survived, and six. So all of these are categorical features, right? So none of them are numeric. So I plot it. Now you can see like so here the orange color represents female, the blue color represents male. So you can see that for both embarked equal to Q and embarked equal to ES, females had the most survival rate and male had the least. But you see something interesting for embarked equal to C, male had better survival rate than female. So this is quite interesting. So embarked should be one of the important feature because that is able to differentiate between different classes. So next moving on, like so far we saw how to use the existing feature and visualize the existing features and see how they correlate between each other. Now what we are going to do is create a new feature from the existing feature. For example, we had the names, right? So in that, if you see the title, now what I'm doing here is I'm extracting the first part of the name. So it is like the surname, Mr., Miss, Colonel, Captain, and all that. So when I do a cross tab, I see so many names here. And generally, name is again like an ID column, right? It's not going to be of any use to me. But I'm trying to get the title from the name and use it as one of the feature. So for that, before doing that, I want to know what are the different titles that are available and if I can group them, and if I group them, if I'm getting any useful information out of it. So now when I see like I have Captain, Colonel, Don, Doctor, then there's Lady, Master, Miss. If you see here, MS and Miss could be clubbed together. Like Lady and Miss could be clubbed together, and Master, and these are all very rarely found items, right? Captain, there is only one person. Colonel, there is only two people. Counters, I have only one. So all these just one or two variables, people names that I have, I can group them together. And wherever there are like duplicates like Miss and MS, when I have, I can club it together. So like that I'm trying to do. So here if you see, I'm replacing Lady, Countess, Captain, Call, all these with rare. Then Miss and this together I do it. And finally, if you see, there are only five classes now: Master, Miss, Mr., Mrs., and Rat. And I'm also seeing how much was the survival rate at each of this category. So when I see Master had 57% survival rate, Miss had 70%, Mr. had only 15%, Mrs. had almost 80%, and Rare had 35%. Now it makes more sense, right? Women had the highest survival rate because they were sent out. So you see Miss and Mrs. in the top. Then we saw people who had aged low also had good survival rate. So they are getting 57. And men who were between 20 and 40, they are the ones who did not survive, right? So they have 15% only. So whatever assumption that I have made is matching with the feature that I extracted as well. So what I'm going to do, I will group all this together, then ignore the name column. Then the other thing that we can do is binning. Binning is nothing but now if you say age column, there will be 100 different values across the data set, right? Instead of using that, I can again group it, say like 0 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 40, like that. I can use different age bands to group the people. And again, I need to do a statistical test to see if that is giving me proper information. So here I'm splitting the age bands. Then I'm saying like what is the survival rate in each of the age band. And as you can see here, for different age bands, I see a good difference in the survival rate as well. Meaning, like whatever grouping that I have done is good. So, in today's class, with some interesting use cases, like we saw how to do univariate analysis, how to do multivariate analysis, how you compare and visualize when you have different features like numeric to numeric, numeric to category, category to category, like that. We saw different ways of doing it. And we also saw how we extract information out of an existing column and we do binning. And at each stage, we saw like how we calculate the survival rate and ensure that whatever assumptions that we are making are in line with the data set. So with that, we are completing the Python for data analysis part. So congratulations on completing this series. So we are good to start with machine learning from the next video.